Hey, Grace Honolulu Church family. I'm here with my friend Clifton, and we are building for tomorrow today. And believe it or not, man, we've been on this journey of pursuing the Willows property for almost 120 days now.
120 days.
That's a long
Doesn't it seem like it's been a really long time, but in a lot of ways it went by too quickly?
Yep, exactly. Perfect.
Yeah. So remind for us, Pastor Greg, what was our vision when we set out on this journey?
Yeah, the reason why we're even here right now is because we have been looking for a home for our church, and we were looking for something near the University of Hawaii, and we wanted to be embedded in the community.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to be embedded in the community because we believe that church is not just a place for followers of Christ, but it's a place where we get to reach out and go and help gather people who don't know Christ.
I love that. I love the gathering. I love the idea of getting people together to build relationship and to fellowship. And who knew that a place like this existed in the middle of the city?
Yeah, and so it became a perfect place, even though when you come on site, it's not the typical picture of what a church would look like.
Right.
But it gives us an opportunity to reimagine what church could be like, to reimagine how we could reach out to people, to reimagine how the church could really make an impact with a place that used to be a restaurant. So we can gather here, we can grow here, but really what we can do is we can spill into the city and we can gather the community and reach the community. It gives us so many different opportunities.
I love that idea of just reimagining. There are so many possibilities.
Yeah, and I think that it's been a journey for us, right? It's like, for those of you that are old school like me, remember Barry Sanders? It's like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders, who was a running back for the Detroit Lions, would hit the pocket and it would be blocked. There'd be obstacles. So he would bounce off of that obstacle, and Barry Sanders could, run 100 yards down to the other end zone, but it would literally be about a 150-yard journey just because he'd be bouncing, hitting obstacles, bouncing. And we've been doing that, and it's kind of how life is. You hit an obstacle, and in that gap, we believe God, and we've been doing that over and over again.
And that's what's made our journey so exciting. It's if we had just gone from point A to B, we would have been mistaken to think that it was by our own effort and our own capabilities. But it's almost been enjoyable to see obstacles come up that we may or may not have anticipated. And just like you said, Barry Sanders, seeing how God is directing us to bounce in different directions.
Yeah, that's right. And it's really caused us every step of the way to seek God again, to reimagine, and to be in that place where we needed a miracle, which is a beautiful place to be over and over again, right? We needed God to show up to do what we couldn't do. And then we'd take a step. And then God would open a door.
How many times do you feel like we've been in a situation where it's been fourth down and long? We got to get this done, and who knows how we're going to get it done?
You know what? It's been a lot of fourth and longs over and over, fourth and longs, over and over. But there have been some significant ones. I think even just getting to this place where we had the first opportunity to see the Willows, and where we had the first opportunity to make an offer on the Willows. It was a miracle. It was a miracle that happened through our real estate broker. And so just through the process of miracles, we got to actually see a fee simple place like this in the middle of the city near the University of Hawaii.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's one of several miracles, but that's certainly one of the big ones, is that we got to come and look from a mountain at the promised land, and just to see it, to see that this might be part of God's plan for us. That's one of the many miracles. What are some others?
And that I love that analogy of looking from the mountain to the promised land, because when the early followers of God did that, they saw in the land that the land was amazing, but then there were also giants or obstacles in the land. And so there were 10 of them that said, giants are too big, we can't do it, but there were 2, Joshua and Caleb, who said, no. God is going to make a way. We can do this thing. And so the second probably big giant that we've seen was just our ability and need to raise funds for the property. And we've had a goal of $1 million, which initially was September 30th. And we have done an amazing thing, but really God has really enabled us through His grace and generosity to be able to raise a significant portion of that in a short amount of time.
I like that we've had the opportunity, all of us have had the opportunity to stretch our faith muscle and our generosity muscle. for us, it feels like it's given us the opportunity to take ownership in this process, in this journey.
Yeah, and that's been such a huge part of it. Like you said, man, our hearts are changed, and together as a church, we're owning this together. So I'd say that was probably the second big one that we faced, and God has led us through.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the third one is the banks,
Yeah, the
just
banks.
getting funding, which is a big one. Obviously, without the funding for this from the bank, we would not be able, or the financing, I should say, from the bank, we wouldn't be able to secure this property.
Yeah, that's right. When we sat down at the beginning of the 120 days, or even before we got into the 120 days, on paper, when you looked at what it would take for a bank to consider a partnership with us, it was hard to think that that was possible. But I think God had plans that were different than what we had thought.
Yeah, nobody could have imagined this. Even our real estate agent, I said, have you ever seen anything like the relationship that we have with this bank? And he said, I've never seen it. And he said, you'll probably never see it again. Yeah. So just thank God and enjoy it.
Right.
But not only do we have a bank that will finance us, we have a bank that really believes in us as a church, and they believe in what we're going to do. And so they have come alongside to not just finance us, but to make this really doable for us in the most favorable of terms. It's just, again, it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Can't be said enough. So those are the three of many miracles, but those are some of the three big ones so far.
Yeah. And not only does the bank have confidence in us, they have confidence in our strategy to actually move into this property as we come to the end of our due diligence period. And so right now, one of the things that we knew from the beginning was going to be an issue was permitting, just being able to not just buy the property, but to be able to use the property.
Yeah.
And so as we come into this situation and into the permitting issues, which thank you for praying, those of you that have been praying, we have done a lot of consultation.
Yeah.
Consultation with lawyers, consultation with architects, consultation with our board, consultation with our staff, consultation with people at the Department of Permitting, consultation with our real estate broker. We've done just a lot of consultation, and we believe that God has led us to an amazing strategy to be able to, however you envision it, go over the mountain, go through the mountain, or go around the mountain, to be able to go through this next obstacle so that we can actually acquire this property and be able to use this property as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about what the next step is. So we have a plan, and it is to move into this property in this specific way.
Yeah, and the beauty of this is that this is not necessarily something new. This is an idea that we've had from the beginning, because when we talk about creating a gathering place and on a restaurant, something that used to be a restaurant, man, everybody inside was really excited because we're in Hawaii, where everywhere food is a place where people gather. But we're in Hawaii, which is we all gather around food.
Food is a part of the Hawaii culture, but it was also part of the biblical culture. I know that the Bible talks about food being a way where people engaged in relationship, and that's how they fellowship, they broke bread together. So, of course, it makes sense that food would be a part of this gathering place as we reimagine what church looks like for us.
Yeah, that's right. It was an extension of friendship. So we have put that front and center. And for us to be able to come into this property and to be able to utilize it, it means keeping a working type of restaurant on site, which is awesome, because that will create for us, we believe, the place where we can continue not only as a church to gather, but we can continue to invite the community to gather with us as well.
That's good. Okay, so that's where we are then. We are now at the place where we are in the process of bringing a food service, restaurant type operation on site to enhance the vision of this place as a gathering place. What might that look like, a food service operation here on site?
That's a great question, and we're kind of figuring that out right now. It won't mean that our church will be running a food service. That's not what it'll mean. It'll mean that we'll have some type of food operations on site. And so we have 3 commercial kitchens, which is beautiful, so we have the capacity to be able to do that. Right now, we're in the process of looking for an operator that can actually operate a food service so that we can have a restaurant type of food service on site.
Well, that's exciting, because along the way, we've traveled almost 100 yards now, and we've seen how God has shown up time after time, miracle after miracle, relationship after relationship, bringing the right pieces into place, not in the way that we probably initially imagined it, but in a bigger way. And so the next step is just how is God going to help us to fill in this next step.
Yeah, yeah. And the beauty of God intersecting with his faithfulness at the place where we've extended faith is that now we have confidence. We have a track record with God, right? He's done it before, and we know he'll do it again.
Yeah. It has been encouraging, I have to say, that at the beginning of the process, is this God's will? But as he's met us time and time again, my faith has been strengthened because God has shown that we're on his side the whole time. So it's exciting that we're almost there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I feel like Barry Sanders, man, looking back at the people that were trying to stop him and they're laying on the ground. And every step of the way, God has made a way where there seemed like there was no way.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
so we're continuing to build for tomorrow today. And we're taking this next step together. So church, thank you for your prayers. I want to encourage you, continue praying for us as we take these next steps. And we believe God to meet us at our place of faith as we go over, through, and around the different obstacles that will just pop up.
Yep, very good. Thanks for sharing that update, Pastor Gregg.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Cliff.